Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching DESITVUSA and I'm Dr. Sehrish. Let's have a quick look on today's latest news. Vice President Kamala Harris is at the White House delivering remarks at the National Congress of the American Indians 78th Annual Convention, just days after President Biden issued a presidential proclamation observing Indigenous Peoples Day this year.
Thank you, Chairperson Erin Payman. It is so good to see you, and good morning to everyone. Thank you, all of you, everyone, for your incredible leadership, the courage of your leadership, the tenacity of your leadership, and most importantly, for your commitment to build a strong nation-to-nation relationship with our administration. President Joe Biden and I believe that the bond between our nations is sacred, and we take seriously our responsibility to one another. It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, as we speak truth about our nation's history. Since 1934, every October, the United States has recognized the voyage of the European explorers who first landed on the shores of the Americas. But that is not the whole story. That has never been the whole story.
Nancy Pelosi is holding a press conference on Capitol Hill on the same morning that the House is expected to vote to raise the debt ceiling through mid-December, temporarily avoiding financial crisis.
It's a good morning. I came back last night in time to root on the Ravens, to have a two-point conversion to tie up the game, to win in overtime at the same time as the San Francisco Giants won the second of three games for the in terms of baseball. More to come on that. It's always a unifying thing, sports, where we all root for the home team. In my case, it's San Francisco and Baltimore as well. So
hundreds of indigenous demonstrators and allies gathered outside the White House on October 11 for a protest coinciding with Indigenous Peoples Day. The purpose of the protest was to urge the Biden administration to take more aggressive actions against the climate crisis, including stopping the Line 3 pipeline, among other fossil fuel projects. Calling on Biden to stop Line 3 is one of the signature demands of the Indigenous Environmental Network. According to several protests, the protests remained legally peaceful, though multiple demonstrators were arrested. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is holding a hard Tuesday briefing.
A couple of items for all of you at the top. As the country recovers from this once-in-a-century pandemic and economic crisis, the private businesses that make up our supply chains and get goods to businesses and the American people have struggled to keep up. We've talked about this a fair amount in this briefing room. This is not just happening here at home, but all around the world as COVID has led to shutdowns and disruptions at ports and factories around the world. In June, the White House launched the Supply Chain Disruptions Task Force to address short-term supply chain bottlenecks. And after working closely with the leaders and companies at that port on potential solutions, we announced a new port envoy to the task force in August. Solving this issue is going to require cooperation between the private sector, including rail and trucking, ports, and labor unions. And so tomorrow, the President will be meeting with the leadership of the Port of Los Angeles, the Port of Long Beach, and the International Longshore and Warehouse Union to discuss the challenges at ports across the country and actions each partner can take to address these delays.
DoD Press Secretary John Kirby is holding a Tuesday briefing at the Pentagon.
On a scheduling note, the Secretary, joined by Chairman Milley, will be heading to U.S. Transportation Command on Friday to preside over the change of command ceremony where Army General Steve Lyons will relinquish command to Air Force General Jacqueline Van Ovost. She will become the first female TRANSCOM commander directing the global mobility operations of its various components. General Lyons will be retiring. The Secretary will preside over that retirement, and of course we thank him for his decades of long and faithful service to the country, and we wish him the very best in the future.
Meeting of Iranian parliamentary delegation with the Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmad. The Iranian parliamentary delegation was led by Dr. Ahmad Amir Abadi Farhani, member of the Iranian parliament. The delegation includes members of the Iranian parliament, the prominent business figures. The delegation included Dr. Mohsen Pir Hadi, Dr. Malik Fazli, Ms. Ilham Azad, Ismail Hussain Sahi, and Dr. Ali Muzaffar. The meeting discussed the overall situation in the region, including Pak-Iran bilateral relations. The meeting discussed proposals to curb terrorism and illegal human trafficking. The two countries also agreed to continue efforts for a stable government and lasting peace in Afghanistan. The meeting called for enhancing ties between Pakistani and Iranian parliamentarians and relevant ministries. It was also agreed to form a special committee for the effective implementation of the prison exchange agreement. Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid appreciated the position of the Iranian government and people on the issue of Palestine and Kashmir. Furthermore, he said Pakistan and Iran have historical, cultural, and religious ties. He said Pakistan and Iran should work together for lasting peace in Afghanistan. We will further improve travel and immigration facilities for visitors to Iran. The exchange of parliamentary delegations between Pakistan and Iran will further expand bilateral relations. Dr. Ahmad Amir Abadi Farhani said the great scientist Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan was deeply saddened by his demise. His services are invaluable. Kashmir Committee Chairman Shahryar Khan Afridi met Director of South Asia Central Atlantic Council and leading lobbyist and writer Shuja Nawaz in US. Pak-US relations and Kashmir Committee's awareness campaign on the illegal human rights violations and Indian war crimes in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Mandatory ban on corona vaccine in the US state Texas. Governor Greg Abbott has lifted the ban on mandatory vaccinations for private sector companies, their workers, and customers. President Erdogan and US President Joe Biden will meet on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Rome this month. Turkey will be banned from buying F-35 US aircraft and Russia's air defense system will be discussed. Ibrahim Kalin, presidential spokesman, said the meeting between the two leaders will provide an opportunity to bridge the deep gap between Turkey and the United States. State Department spokesperson Ned Price is holding a news briefing.
Honored to welcome back to the department someone I think many of you know well, and that's Ambassador Elizabeth Jones. Ambassador Jones is assuming oversight of the entire Afghan relocation effort, from our ongoing efforts to facilitate the departure of individuals from Afghanistan to their onward relocation, going to the so-called lily pads in the Middle East and elsewhere, and a possible future resettlement here in the United States. She is someone who in many ways is uniquely qualified to take on this role. Her first assignment as a Foreign Service officer was in Kabul. And as a member of the senior Foreign Service, she was what was then known as Deputy SRAP, Special Representative for Afghanistan and Pakistan. She's been our ambassador to Kazakhstan, and she's been Assistant Secretary here twice over, once to our Near Eastern Affairs Bureau, and also to our Bureau of European Affairs.
That's all for now. Keep watching DESITVUSA and don't forget to click our link tree to explore the social media world. Thank you.